The Veilkin flagship drifted silently through the upper orbit of Earth, hidden beneath layers of cloaking technology so advanced that no known species had ever detected it. Their hull bent light itself. Their energy output was converted into static void. Even sound waves refused to acknowledge their presence. They were invisible not only to eyes, but to reality itself. And yet, every human satellite in orbit was following them. The ship commander, Ilarvos, stood motionless as lines of red tracking beams from Earth's defense grid crawled across the holographic display. One by one, human radar systems adjusted themselves to lock onto the Veilkin vessel, perfectly outlined, as if the cloak wasn't even there. "Impossible," whispered his second-in-command Telnar, his voice trembling. "Our cloak systems are operating at full efficiency. There is no radiation leak, no particle trail. We are not emitting anything." Ilarvos didn't reply. His 4 eyes were fixed on the screen. The evidence was undeniable. Earth could see them. "Run diagnostics," Ilarvos ordered, forcing calm into his voice. The engineering drones rushed to obey, scanning every circuit, every cloaking stabilizer, every system layered across their hull. One by one, green lights returned. Cloak integrity 100%, power output stable, detection level statistically 0, everything was perfect, everything was working, and yet Earth still saw them. "How many tracking units?" Ilarvos asked. Telnar swallowed. 37. No, 42 now. Every major military installation is aligning. On the projection, Earth's surface lit up with signals, ground stations turning, missile silos awakening, airfields flashing into life. Fleets of aircraft began launching in synchronized formation. Even space stations reoriented themselves, pointing all communication dishes toward the invisible ship. They were not guessing. They were actively targeting. Ilarvos felt a chill run through him. The Veilkin prided themselves on studying other species from the shadows. They had spied on entire empires, extracting knowledge from kings and warlords without ever revealing their presence. They were ghosts, legends, whispers across galaxies, but now they were prey. "Open internal comms," Ilarvos commanded. "All hands silent readiness. Prepare for evasive maneuvers. Do not decloak." A heartbeat of silence. Then Telnar turned to him. "Commander, are we retreating?" The question hung in the air like a knife. Retreat meant shame. Retreat meant fear. Retreat meant that humans had defeated them without even firing a shot. Ilarvos didn't answer. Instead, he studied Earth's movements again. The interceptors rising from the blue planet were not attacking. Not yet. There was precision, but no aggression. They were establishing a perimeter. Not to destroy, but to surround. Humans were containing them. "Commander," came the voice of Varin, head of communications. "We are receiving something." Ilarvos turned sharply. "Impossible. Our barrier prevents outside signals." "It should," Varin agreed. "But this transmission passed through anyway, unfiltered." A cold silence fell. "Put it through," Ilarvos said. The bridge darkened. The holographic screens dimmed. A sound crackled into the air. Primitive radio static. Then a voice. "Unidentified vessel." "We see you." Every Veilkin in the command chamber froze. The voice continued. "Your cloak does not protect you here. You are hovering over restricted Earth territory. Power down your engines and declare your intent." The sentence repeated in 16 human languages. Then again in 3 Veilkin dialects, perfectly translated. A direct warning, a challenge. Ilarvos slowly lowered his gaze. Humans were not only seeing them, they were speaking to them. How? How did they penetrate our comms barrier? Telnar whispered. "No known species can do that," Varin said. "They shouldn't even know we exist." Another alarm blared. Inter-Earth was charging its surface weapons. Dozens of missile silos glowed with thermal signatures. Orbital. Defense guns adjusted their barrels with frightening accuracy. Telnar stiffened. "Commander, we must cloak even deeper or flee the system." "No," Ilarvos said suddenly. Every officer turned. Ilarvos was staring at Earth, not with fear, but with something else. Curiosity. "Every empire we have watched," he murmured softly. "Every civilization we have observed. It's unreacted like this." He leaned forward. "They are not panicking. They are not firing in fear. He gestured toward the tracking lines beaming across their hull. They are calm, calculated. They are measuring us. Varin hesitated. Then, what do we do? Elavos considered their options. Option 1, escape. They could jump to faster-than-light travel and vanish. But if humans saw them once, could they see them again? Option 2, attack. They could disable Earth's defense grid and erase all witnesses. But something deep in his instincts warned him. That would be a mistake. Option 3, respond. Not as ghosts, not as intruders, but as something else. Commander, Telna repeated, run or respond. Elavos slowly closed his eyes. Then he gave the order that no Veilkin leader had spoken in centuries. Deactivate Cloak, Telna gasped. Commander! Deactivate it. Let them look upon us. The command was executed, for the first time in the history of the Veilkin race. They allowed themselves to be seen. The Veilkin flagship shimmered into full visibility as its cloak deactivated. The once invisible vessel now hovered in low Earth orbit, like a dark crescent of polished obsidian, reflecting sunlight across the void. Every human satellite zoomed in. Every telescope on Earth suddenly had something new to point at. Across the planet, news broadcasters broke into emergency reports. Civilians stared into their screens. Some prayed, some cheered. Others trembled, but one thing was clear. Humanity was not surprised. They were waiting. Inside the Veilkin command chamber, tension hung like a storm cloud. Officers stood rigid at their stations, hands hovering over weapons systems that Elavos had ordered to remain neutral. Commander, Telnar whispered urgently, our shields are ready, but our weapons are still offline. If they fire, they won't, Elavos replied. He didn't know how he knew, he just knew Earth wasn't acting like prey. It was acting like a guardian. Incoming transmission, Varin announced again. Audio and visual. Should I filter it? Elavos hesitated. Filtering meant blocking human attempts to send images into their system. A safety measure. But today, safety had already been broken. Open it fully. Elavos ordered. The lights dimmed. A screen materialized in the center of the chamber. A human figure appeared, standing in what looked like a vast underground facility. A male. Short hair, dark uniform, shoulders straight. He looked directly into the camera, as if he could see them standing there. He didn't introduce himself. He didn't shout threats. He didn't pretend to be friendly. He simply spoke in a calm, steady voice. To the vessel observing our planet, we understand that your mission may not be hostile. However, you have breached restricted orbital territory. He paused, letting the words settle. We will not attack unless provoked, but we will defend our planet with full force if necessary. The human leaned slightly forward. State your intent. Silence filled the bridge. Telnar's voice cracked. They're asking for a response. It appears so, Varin confirmed. Another officer growled. We should not bow to their demands. They are primitives. Their technology is thousands of cycles behind ours. Then explain, Elavos said quietly, how they tracked us. The officer fell silent. No one else dared speak. On the screen, the human still waited patiently. No fear, no arrogance. Just certainty. Elavos noticed something strange. There were other humans visible behind the commander, scientists, engineers, operators, moving around with focus and discipline. They were preparing for many outcomes: diplomacy, attack, negotiation. Yet their silent expressions showed one thing clearly. Confidence, not reckless confidence, but confidence that came from experience. Humans had seen something like this before, and it was not new to them. Commander, Varin said slowly, should we respond or maintain silence? For the Veilkins, silence had always been their greatest weapon. Silence meant mystery. Silence meant power, but today, silence might mean weakness. Elavos made his decision. Open a return channel. Varin hesitated. Audio only. Or visual, Elavos said. Gasps echoed through the bridge. Commander, that violates every protocol. Humans have already seen us, Elavos cut in. Hiding behind audio will not regain our advantage. The bridge crew exchanged uneasy looks. Varin obeyed. A small symbol flickered, indicating the humans were receiving their image feed. Elavos stepped forward, placing himself directly within the camera's view. His dark blue skin and four golden eyes reflected the light of his command chamber. His voice was firm. "This is Commander Elavos of the Veilkin exploration vessel." The human nodded slightly, acknowledging, "We do not come with hostile intent. We are observers. We seek knowledge, not conflict." The human narrowed his eyes slightly, not in anger but in curiosity. "Then why cloak? Why hide from us?" Elavos hesitated. The question was simple, yet he did not know how to answer without sounding weak. "We cloak as a precaution," he replied. "Most civilizations react with fear to the unknown. Cloaking prevents misunderstanding." The human commander's lips curled upward, not into a smile but into a knowing expression. "We are not most civilizations." The word struck harder than any weapon. Suddenly Varin hissed, "Commander, multiple orbital platforms activating." Elavos turned sharply. Across the projection, several human satellites extended metallic arms, releasing spherical drones that drifted into formation. Telnar panicked. The command chamber buzzed with restless energy. For the first time in Veilkin history, a cloaked vessel had revealed itself to a lesser-evolved species. Many officers still struggled to accept it, but Elavos knew one thing with absolute certainty. Humans had forced their hand. They could no longer hide, but that did not mean they had to trust. "Commander," Telnar said carefully, "if we refuse to retreat or attack, then we must learn how far these humans can see." His tone was tense but not rebellious. He was thinking like a strategist. Elavos nodded slowly. "Agreed," Varin tilted his head. "You want to test them?" "Yes," Elavos replied, "but not with our main vessel." He turned to navigation control. "Deploy a cloak probe. Class 7, no active signal. 0 radiation. Minimum mass signature. Send it toward the planet, slowly." The officer at navigation hesitated. "Commander, that's the stealth model. Even our own systems can barely detect it." "Exactly," Elavos said. "If humans truly see everything, we will know." Minutes later, a small metallic orb detached from their ship, fading into near transparency as its cloak activated. It drifted toward Earth like a ghost, silent and invisible. Every Veilkin officer held their breath. On the projection screen, the probe's trajectory appeared as a faint outline. They monitored its descent through Earth's upper atmosphere. Steady, unnoticed, perfect. Telnar exhaled. "They can't see it. Their detection is limited to large-scale energy signatures. They cannot—" Before he could finish, the probe stopped moving. Elavos froze. "What happened?" "Unknown," the navigation officer said quickly. "It's not responding. No signals. No movement. It's frozen mid-air." Then something even more shocking appeared on the secondary display. A human satellite had deployed a small metallic claw, grabbing the invisible probe and pulling it toward an orbiting platform. Silence swept through the chamber. "No," Telnar whispered. "They captured it? That probe shouldn't even exist from their perspective." Varin's fingers danced across controls, attempting a manual override. Nothing. The probe was being hacked, live in real time. "Commander," Telnar said, barely steady, "shall I trigger the self-destruct?" The probe had no explosives, but it could overload its core and dissolve itself into harmless plasma. A clean deletion. Elavos considered it. But then, a new alert flashed across their display. The humans were sending a message, not through their main ship channel, but through the probe itself. "Put it on screen." Elavos ordered. The bridge lights dimmed again. The message displayed in bold text. "Interesting device. Nicely hidden." The crew stared in disbelief. Another line appeared. "Next time, just ask." Then, to the horror of every Veilkin officer, the humans sent the probe back. The claw released it. The orb floated freely and gently like a leaf on a breeze. It drifted back toward the Veilkin ship unharmed. No one spoke. Even the air felt heavier. The probe reattached to the hull without a scratch. It had been captured, inspected, and returned. As if humans were teaching them manners, Varin checked its memory logs. His hands shook. They didn't corrupt it. They didn't break anything. Telnar blinked. Then what did they do? They added something. Elavos turned. "What? A message?" "Engraved in our own system code." The entire bridge watched as the text appeared on the main screen. "If you wish to talk, come openly. We prefer friends, not ghosts." Silence lingered like a heavy fog. The meaning was clear. Humans weren't asking. They were setting rules. Telnar's voice broke the stillness. "Commander, this is no ordinary species. They treat us not like gods." He hesitated. "But like equals." Those were words no Veilkin had ever spoken before. Larvos closed his eyes. For centuries, the Veilkin believed themselves to be the silent masters of observation, watching others while remaining unseen. But here, orbiting a small blue world filled with unpredictable creatures, for the first time they were the ones being watched. "Commander," Varen asked cautiously, "what is our next move?" Larvos looked down at Earth once more. The planet glowed beneath them. Clouds drifted lazily. Oceans shimmered in sunlight. No weapons fired, no threats screamed, just quiet expectation. He straightened his posture. "Prepare for approach." Gasps erupted. Telnar stared at him. "We're descending?" "Yes," Elarvos said. "To hide again is weakness. To attack is foolish. To flee is fear." He placed one hand on the command console. "We go openly?" As they asked. As the Veilkin ship angled toward Earth, no one spoke. Every officer stood silent, hearts pounding. No cloak, no stealth, no advantage, only exposure, and the unknown waiting below. The Veilkin vessel descended through Earth's upper orbit with its cloak fully offline, something no Veilkin ship had done in over 3,000 years. Every officer remained at their station, but very few dared to blink. The more they looked at Earth, the more they realized something unsettling. This planet was not what they expected. It was supposed to be primitive, underdeveloped, chaotic. Instead, it was organized. Their scanners revealed thousands of satellites all linked together like a web, defense networks layered in complex grids, communication systems synchronized across continents. Even civilian devices like phones and vehicles were interconnected, creating a planetary awareness that rivaled military surveillance systems on advanced worlds. Telnar stared at the readings on his screen, confused. How can a species evolve this quickly? Their technological curve is unnatural. No species should advance this fast without external interference. Ilarvos folded his arms. "Clarify." Telnar enlarged a historical data chart. 200 of their years ago, they had no spaceflight. 100 years ago, they barely understood electricity. Now, quantum communication, planetary sensor nets, hypersonic interceptors. He shook his head slowly. This is not normal progress. Something pushed them, Varen joined in. "Commander, I'm running a comparative evolution model. Other empires take thousands of cycles to advance through technological phases. Humans change their entire civilization every few centuries. And yet, said another officer quietly, their planet still doesn't look unified. That was true. The Veilkin saw signs of political conflict below, borders, military divisions, cultural differences. Humans argued. Humans disagreed. Humans competed constantly, and still, they cooperated just enough to function as a single planetary defense. How? Why? Who taught them? Hilarvos watched the swirling clouds below and thought deeply. Wars shaped humans. That was obvious. But war alone didn't explain focus. There was something else, something that kept humanity moving forward despite chaos. Hope? Survival instinct? Curiosity? Or something older? "Commander," Telnar called out, "incoming transmission." Ilarvos raised an eyebrow. "From Earth?" "No," Telnar replied. "From inside our archives." The officers turned. "Explain," Ilarvos demanded. "It's a dormant data string, buried deep in our species' ancient expedition logs. Unauthorized files hidden from standard access." Ilarvos frowned. "Who placed it there?" "No name," Telnar said. "Just a timestamp." He projected the file. It was over 9,000 Veilkin cycles old, older than most cities, older than most lineages, older than modern Veilkin memory. The officers stared. "It mentions Earth," Varen whispered. The data unfolded. On the third spiral arm of the Milky Way exists a primitive world of unusual sentience. Early species show pattern recognition beyond survival instinct, strong emotional bonds, adaptive decision-making. The report showed pre-human hominids working together, building tools, helping injured members instead of abandoning them. Hypothesis: this species will evolve into something highly cooperative, highly reactive, possibly dangerous, or invaluable. The final line chilled the entire bridge. Recommend strict observation. Do not interfere. Return when intelligence matures, the log ended. No author name. No follow-up record. No indication of who made the discovery. Telnar stared at it in disbelief. We found Earth before humans were even human. And someone, Elar Voss said slowly, saw something in them. Silence lingered. It wasn't just humanity that was mysterious. It was the Veilkin's own forgotten past. Commander, Varin said quietly, should we report this discovery to the Council? Elar Voss didn't answer immediately. The Council feared unpredictability. They preferred control. If they learned humans had bypassed Veilkin cloaking, they would not hesitate to erase Earth. But something deep inside Elar Voss whispered, not this time. Commander, Telnar suddenly shouted. Human interceptors approaching. The main screen zoomed in on several sleek metallic aircraft, rising through the atmosphere. Not missiles, not drones, manned ships. Fast, aerodynamic, equipped with electromagnetic shields and directional thrusters. Their formation was tight, calculated, not hostile, but not casual either. Varin analyzed their signals. They are not designating us as a target. They are escorting us. Escorting. Telnar repeated. Yes, Varin confirmed. They are forming a perimeter around our descent trajectory. The message was clear. We are watching you. But we are not afraid. Elar Voss stood tall. Maintain course. The Veilkin ship continued downward, breaking through the atmosphere with a low hum. Plasma rippled against the hull. The clouds parted. Blue sky opened up beneath them. The human aircraft flew in perfect synchronization beside them, not attacking, not fleeing, just observing back. Telnar exhaled slowly. Commander, they are doing to us what we usually do to others. Elar Voss nodded. Yes, for the first time, he looked down at Earth. We are the ones being studied. The Veilkin flagship descended through the final layers of Earth's atmosphere, escorted closely by the human aircraft. Below them, a vast open landscape stretched out. Green fields beside a massive structure of polished concrete and metal. It was a landing zone, not a military ambush site. Not a trap, a designated meeting place. Elar Voss studied the landing coordinates transmitted by the humans. No anti-air fire. No hidden turrets, Varin confirmed. Their weapons are powered but not aimed at us. Telnar stared out through the viewing port, uneasy. Commander, are we truly going to land? On alien soil? Without a shield? Yes, Elar Voss said. Some officers still trembled at the idea of walking openly among a species they had once considered simple. But a strange understanding had already begun to form. Humans were not simply waiting, they were welcoming. The ship's thrusters engaged, and the mighty vessel lowered itself gently onto the landing field. Dust swirled beneath its hull. Grass bent beneath the blast, but no weapons fired. No soldiers charged. Instead, a single human delegation stood waiting at a safe distance. No tanks. No snipers. No swarms of drones, just people. Some in military uniforms, some in lab coats. One in a dark suit holding a tablet. Elar Voss inhaled slowly and gave the command. Lower the ramp. No weapons. Varin's eyes widened. Commander, tradition requires we carry at least a ceremonial... No, Elar Voss cut in. If we walk armed, they will walk guarded. If we walk open, they must decide whether to mirror us. The loading ramp extended with a soft hiss touching Earth soil. Warm air flowed into the ship. It smelled of oxygen, moisture and vegetation. Alive. Elar Voss stepped forward, the first Veilkin to set foot on Earth. Telnar and Varin followed close behind, their movements precise but cautious. The rest of the officers remained aboard, monitoring every signal. Every heartbeat signature in range, the B. Humans did not clap, they did not cheer, they did not kneel, they simply stood still, studying the Veilkin as the Veilkin had studied countless species before. For a moment, no one spoke. The wind rustled, birds chirped in the distance. It was peaceful. Then a human stepped forward, the same commander who had spoken through the transmission. He removed his helmet, revealing sharp eyes and silvering hair. He didn't bow. He didn't salute. Instead, he placed his right hand over his chest, a human gesture of sincerity. Copying carefully, Elar Voss placed one hand on his upper chest, the Veilkin equivalent of acknowledgement. The human nodded, respect recognized. I am General Marcus Hale, the human said calmly. Commander of Earth Defense Network. On behalf of our planet, I welcome you. His voice was steady but not relaxed. He was polite, but still alert. Elar Voss responded, his tone equal parts dignified and curious. I am Commander Elar Voss of the Velkin Exploration Fleet. I appreciate your restraint. General Hale gave a small smile. Restraint is easier when we understand intent. He paused. Do you intend peace? The question was fair, direct, dangerous. Elar Voss could not lie, not to a species that saw through cloaks and silence. We intend knowledge, and we do not wish for conflict. General Hale studied his face, or what humans perceived as a face. Finally, the human turned and gestured to the facility behind him. Then let us talk. As they walked side by side, Telnar leaned close to Elar Voss and whispered, Commander, do you feel it? Elar Voss nodded silently. Yes, a feeling, not fear, not hostility, but something far more rare on alien worlds. Familiarity. It was as if humans were not strangers, but rivals who had just met their match. Inside the facility, the Velkin were surprised again. It was not filled with weapons. It was filled with records, screens displaying data, files ready for review, recorded historical footage of Earth's wars, inventions, celebrations, space launches. General Hale gestured to one of the screens, showing an old rocket launch breaking into orbit. You're probably wondering, he said, how a species like ours advanced so quickly. Elar Voss did not deny it. Your evolution curve is unnatural. Too fast, too aggressive. Hale nodded. We know. Our scientists asked the same question. He tapped a screen. It showed a timeline of human inventions. Fire, wheel printing press, steam engine, radio, computer. Quantum drives. In 200,000 years, we went from caves to satellites. He looked at Elar Voss. No one pushed us. No gods, no aliens. No superior race guiding us, he paused. We pushed ourselves. The Velkin officers exchanged startled looks. Telnar whispered, No external interference? That's impossible. General Hale continued, walking past a glass display. Inside was a replica of an ancient human spear beside a modern railgun round. Humans survive through competition. Challenge makes us stronger. Threats make us evolve. The more danger we face, the faster we grow. He stopped walking and turned toward them. And now, you are our newest challenge. Elar Voss met his gaze. There was no arrogance in Hale's voice, no threat, just truth and potential. The two commanders stood silently across from one another, the weight of unspoken decisions building between them. Telnar tensed, waiting for an order. Varin stood perfectly still, monitoring every heartbeat in the room. General Hale spoke again, softer this time. We do not fear you, but we also do not kneel. So tell me, Velkin, do you come as observers, or do you come as equals? The air went still, the room held its breath, and Elar Voss knew this was not just a meeting, it was a choice. Elar Voss stood silent for a long moment, absorbing General Hale's question. Observers or equals? In Velkin culture, there was always a hierarchy. One species led, the other followed. One empire ruled, the other submitted. But humans refused both roles. They did not bow. They did not threaten. They simply stood, not as prey, not as conquerors, but as partners if earned. Elar Voss finally answered. We came as observers, but perhaps we will stay as equals. General Hale nodded once. Then we will treat you as such. He signaled toward a secondary chamber, sealed behind heavy reinforced doors. Come, he said. There is something you need to see. Something no alien has ever seen before. As they walked deeper into the facility, Varin whispered quietly beside Elar Voss. Commander, I am detecting something familiar ahead. Telnar frowned. Familiar how? I am not certain, Varin answered. But the energy pattern, it resembles Velkin quantum resonance. Elar Voss narrowed his eyes. Impossible. Humanity could not possess Velkin technology unless... The doors slid open. Inside the chamber stood a large containment pod, surrounded by monitoring equipment. Several human scientists waited beside it, tense, watchful. The pod glowed softly with a silver-blue light. General Hale spoke calmly. Everything we've shown you so far, satellites, weapons, data, all of that was human-made. He rested a hand on the containment pod. This was not. The Veilkin officers froze. Varin's scanner readings spiked wildly. "Commander," he said urgently, "this object is not of human origin." General Hale nodded. "We found it in Antarctica, buried beneath 2 kilometers of ice. Estimated age, 1 million Earth years." Elavos stepped closer. Astonished. The markings etched along the surface were not human, but they were not unfamiliar. Telnar's breath caught. Those symbols. That's Proto-Veilkin script from the first Exodus era, ancient, abandoned before spaceflight. General Hale looked at them seriously. "So it belongs to you?" Elavos stared at the relic, speechless. "No," he said finally. "This is older than our memory, older than our cities, older than our civilization." He touched the pod carefully, and it responded. The silver-blue light pulsed brighter, as if recognizing him or greeting him. General Hale folded his arms. "We always suspected Earth was visited long before modern history. But now, we think it was more than that." He gestured toward the ancient relic. "We think humanity was meant to be found." The room went quiet. Every Veilkin officer stood frozen. The idea was almost unthinkable. A forgotten, long-dead precursor species, possibly their own, had placed an artifact on Earth, left it there waiting. But for what? For humans? For Veilkin? For both? General Hale stepped back. "We kept this hidden. No governments know. No public records exist. Only a few of us are aware," he paused. "And now it's you," Telnar spoke softly. "Why show us? You could have hidden this." Hale's response was calm. "Because we want something in return." Silence. The Veilkin waited. Hale's voice lowered. "We know your kind studies other civilizations, watches them from the shadows. You observe, collect, evaluate." He turned to face Elavos directly. "Now we want to observe you." Elavos blinked. "You wish to study us?" Hale smirked slightly. "You see everything. You understand strategy, evolution, war. But you failed to understand us. That makes this fair." Varin tilted his head. "What exactly do you request?" Hale answered without hesitation. "Access, knowledge, your history." "In exchange for ours?" "A true exchange, Veilkin style, but equal." The commander of Earth extended his hand not as a greeting this time, but as a pact. Elavos looked at that human hand, the strong, open, steady, an ancient relic behind him, a growing future before him, a bridge between what was forgotten and what could be discovered. Slowly, very slowly, Elavos reached out. His hand met Hale's, cold alien flesh against warm human skin, ancient caution against fearless curiosity. And in that moment, two species who should never have met as equals did. The handshake between Commander Elavos and General Marcus Hale lasted only 3 seconds, but in those 3 seconds, history bent. It was no longer about who discovered who, or who could overpower the other. It became about what both could become together. "Very well," Elavos said after releasing the handshake. "Our knowledge for yours." "An equal exchange," General Hale nodded. "Then we begin immediately." He gestured to the scientists. "Prepare the artifact chamber for Veilkin access." Telnar stepped forward cautiously. "Commander, are we truly granting them access to our archives? To our history?" Elavos looked at the ancient relic, glowing softly behind them, and answered without hesitation. "No, we are granting ourselves access to answers we lost." That statement stunned even the humans. General Hale gave a faint, approving smile. "Then both our species move forward." He motioned to a nearby platform, circular, metallic, and humming with energy. "This is a containment interlink interface. Your science officer may attempt synchronized access." Varin stepped carefully onto the platform, placing his palm over the artifact's casing. His fingers trembled slightly. Not from fear, from anticipation. The relic responded immediately. Its surface rippled, not with light, but with data, foreign, ancient, vast. Veilkin and human displays around the chamber lit up in unison. Symbols, coordinates, and unknown star charts flooded across the screens. Telnar's voice cracked. "This isn't just a memory device." He analyzed rapidly, jaw tightening. "It's a map." General Hale's eyes narrowed. "A map to what?" Varin's voice dropped to a whisper. "Not a planet, not a system." He paused, his screen now showing an expanding web of routes stretching far beyond the Milky Way. "It's a migration trail, left behind by..." Whoever came before, Elarvos felt a chill move through him. Ancient Veilkin, something older, or something still out there. The relic pulsed again, this time louder, as if urging them, "Come follow." Telna turned toward his commander. "If this data is real, then we have found our origin." General Hale crossed his arms. "Or your creators." Elarvos looked at the map again, an endless trail spiraling toward a sector none of them had ever charted, a mystery greater than any empire, a question larger than any war, and humanity was now staring at it too. General Hale straightened. "Commander Elarvos." "Yes? If you go after this trail?" Hale's voice became steady, but dangerous. "Earth goes with you." Elarvos studied him carefully. "You wish to leave your world?" Hale gave a faint grin. "We've studied the stars for centuries. We've fought each other for long enough. A greater threat or mystery awaits out there. And if we stay divided, we fall." He extended his hand again. "But if we go together..." Elarvos finished his sentence for him. "We rise." For the first time since landing, the tension in the room changed. No longer uncertain, no longer uneasy. Now it was anticipation, the beginning of something vast, something terrifying, something incredible. Voss activated his internal communicator. "Veilkin. Command," he transmitted across encrypted channels. "This is Commander Elarvos. Prepare fleet mobilization protocols. Mission type." He paused and glanced toward General Hale. "Joint expedition." Gasps echoed across the Veilkin bridge crew, listening remotely. Elarvos ended with an official statement no Veilkin had ever spoken before. "We do not travel alone." General Hale turned to his officers. "Send word to the United Earth Council. Begin construction of long-range escort ships. Fleet classification, Alpha Alliance." Humans and Veilkin stood together now, beneath an artifact older than recorded memory, staring at a trail leading into the abyss. They did not know what waited for them out there. Friend? Foe? Creator? A warning? It didn't matter, because now they would face it together, and somewhere in the silent void of space, something watched, something ancient, something that had been waiting. 6 Earth months later, the night sky above Earth was no longer quiet, where once there were satellites and civilian craft. Now a formation unlike anything in galactic history waited in low orbit. Human warships, bulky, angular, armored, floated beside sleek, curved Veilkin cruisers. Human fighters buzzed between elegant Veilkin support drones. Translation beacons flashed softly between hulls, broadcasting dual-language coordination codes. For the first time ever, 2 alien fleets were not in battle formation. They were in shared formation, on board the newly designated Joint Expeditionary Flagship Sol Viel. Commander Elarvos stood beside General Marcus Hale on the main viewing deck. The window ahead showed Earth slowly shrinking, a blue and green marble fading beneath clouds. Varen monitored sensor readings nearby. All systems stable. Human quantum drives synchronized with Veilkin warp funnels. No phase interference detected. Telna looked bewildered. "We merged 2 propulsion systems from 2 different civilizations, and it actually works," Hale smirked. "We had to modify 3 reactors to stop them from exploding first." Elarvos flicked a brow ridge upward. "Define exploding." Hale cleared his throat. "Irrelevant now." A chime sounded through the command deck. "Attention Allied vessels. All ships report ready for interstellar jump." General Hale nodded toward Elarvos. "Your map. Your people. Your lead." Elarvos approached the navigation console. The ancient trail extracted from the Antarctic relic pulsed on the star map. An unbroken string of coordinates drifting into unclaimed space. Not Veilkin territory. Not human territory. Not claimed by any known empire. A graveyard? A birthplace? A summons? "Only one way to know. Transmit jump sequence," Elarvos ordered calmly. Across the fleet, engines charged. Veilkin warp spirals forming like swirling ribbons of light. Human drives roaring with directed plasma. "On my mark," his voice deepened. 3, thrusters locked. 2, shields aligned. 1, initiate joint warp, space tore open, not fractured, not damaged, opened. Like reality itself recognized the fusion of 2 races, and allowed it entry. The fleet vanished into a shimmering corridor of starlight. Inside the warp tunnel, strange symbols flickered along the hulls. the same ancient markings found on the relic. As though something was guiding them, Varen stared in awe. "Commander, the passage? It's not random." "It was prepared," Telnar shivered. "Prepared for who?" No one answered, because suddenly the fleet dropped out of warp. Before them was a vast expanse of darkness. No stars, no planets, just a dead void, as if the galaxy itself had been carved away. Elarvos frowned. "This sector should have stars, even barren ones." Varen adjusted scans. No radiation, no debris, no cosmic background. "It's like reality erased itself here." General Hale leaned forward. "Commander, we are not alone." A faint glimmer appeared in the distance, then another, then hundreds. Not stars, not ships, structures. Floating, enormous ring-like stations. Decayed but functional, orbiting unseen gravitational centers. Ancient, silent, patient. Telnar's voice dropped to a whisper. "Those are not Veilkin. Not human, not from any empire in our archive." One ring flickered as if noticing the newcomers. Then a signal, not in any language known to either species, yet both understood it. It was not hostile, it was not welcoming. It was simply, "Welcome back." Silence filled the bridge. Elarvos slowly exhaled. General Hale cracked a smile. "Well," he said quietly, "looks like someone's been expecting us." Elarvos nodded once. "Then let us answer." The fleet realigned, not as humans, not as Veilkin, but as the first united delegation from Earth and Vile, ready to face what waited in the dark, not with fear, but with curiosity.